Hi, welcome to Bookey, which unlock big ideas from world bestsellers in audio, text, and mind map. Please download Bookey at Apple Store or Google Play with more features. Get your free mind snack now. Today we will unlock the book, Start with Why, the golden circle that Jobs followed to make Apple a global success. Everyone knows Apple. In 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak founded Apple Computer in California. In its first year of business, selling only one product, Apple made $1 million in revenue. By year 2, their sales had soared to $10 million. And by the 6th year, Apple had become a billion-dollar company with over 3,000 employees. In April 2012, Apple became the world's biggest company, with a market value of over $520 billion. Why was Apple able to achieve such enormous success? You could say it's because Apple's products are perfect, their advertisements are full of innovation, and consumers everywhere love them. However, the author of Start with Why, SinekSimon Sinek, thinks that the reason Apple was able to succeed was in fact because its founder used a brand new perspective to look at personal computers and dared to challenge traditional market views. He did this by first asking why. While the majority of companies were still thinking that the biggest market for computers lay in business use, Apple envisioned that it would become a commodity for everyone and not simply a tool that sits on an office desk. It's exactly because Apple insisted on asking why before anything else, that they were able to achieve non-stop innovation and push aside these traditional views, and it was this very concept that won Apple widespread long-term trust and support from consumers. The book we'll unlock for you today, Start with Why, provides a deep analysis of the secret to Apple becoming a global success, the golden circle, or in other words, asking why before anything else. Now, let's learn to understand this principle by looking at 3 separate areas. Part 1, Why the golden circle is so effective. Part 2, How to use the golden circle. Part 3, Using the golden circle to win support. First, what is meant by the golden circle? Sinek points out that the golden circle is a way of thinking, one that's capable of inspiring and motivating people and drawing on their inner passions. Every leader can study this way of thinking to increase their ability to inspire, and through that improve their ideas and realize their visions. Whether we are individuals or organizations, whenever we plan to do something, or describe what we're doing to someone else, it will inevitably involve 3 aspects: what, how, and why. These 3 aspects together form a core conceptual model. Sinek uses a diagram with 3 concentric circles to describe this mode of thinking, which forms the golden circle. The outermost circle is for what, and for an organization, what represents what an organization sells, what service it provides, and is the easiest question to answer. The second circle represents how, and embodies the differences between a company and its competitors, for example, how to use a proprietary production process to produce products that consumers will love, or what kind of unique marketing techniques can one adopt to gain widespread interest in the product. The innermost circle is for why. For an organization, this could represent the reason for its establishment, and for individuals, it could represent your underlying objective when doing something. For the majority of organizations and individuals, their thought process begins at the outermost circle and goes inwards, from what, to how, and finally why. However, Sinek thinks that the best organizations do the very opposite. They start from the innermost circle and move outwards. Why is the very first question. This thought process is the golden circle model. A real-life example is Apple's use of the golden circle principle to introduce its products to consumers. Their sales message would often look like this: everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. And we happen to make great computers. One by one. Here, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo is the why. How is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use and user-friendly, and we happen to make great computers is the what. So, why is the golden circle theory so effective? There are 2 reasons. We'll start by looking at the first one, inspiration is a more effective method than manipulation, and the golden circle theory centers on inspiring. Sinek believes that there are only two ways to influence human behavior: you can manipulate it or you can inspire it. From business to politics, manipulation runs rampant in all forms of sales and marketing. Typical forms of manipulation include decreasing the price or running a promotion. The vast majority of people believe that manipulation, being widely used and capable of influencing people, can benefit organizations. But according to Sinek, manipulation leads to transactions, not loyalty. They can only produce a temporary effect, influencing consumers' behavior for a brief period of time, and as soon as the market changes, consumers are very unlikely to stick to your product. Let's look at a case study. In the 90s, suddenly faced with a surge of competition from Japan, General Motors ran heavily promoted campaigns and offered significant cashback incentives of between $500 and $7,000 to customers who bought their vehicles. These promotions worked really well at first and caused GM's sales to rise. But in the long term, GM's profit margins began sinking lower and lower. At one point they were selling cars at a loss of over $700 per vehicle. You might be wondering why GM would choose to do this. This was the result of the promotions they ran being too stimulating. The customers had become accustomed to heavy discounts, and were no longer willing to pay the full price. If the company tried to reduce the amount of cashback offered, sales would immediately plummet. From this example, it can be seen that merely relying on promotional techniques and failing to build a loyal customer base will cause a company to suffer terrible losses in the long run. Now that we've discussed manipulation, let's move on to looking at inspiration in more detail. Like manipulation, inspiration changes people's behavior. The difference is that inspiration plants your idea in people's minds. When they accept that idea, they also accept you and become inspired to follow your purpose. This influences their behavior, and from it, you gain their support and following. For instance, the civil rights legend, Martin Luther King Jr. had a gift and knew how to inspire people through his speeches. On the 28th of August, 1963, he gave his famous speech, "I Have a Dream," that changed America forever. Back then, there wasn't a website to confirm the date, nor were thousands of invitations sent out. But people showed up in masses, 250,000 of them. Why was Martin Luther King able to be this charismatic? It was because he started with why, and told the public that the reason he was starting the movement was not just for the good of a minority, but for the good of everyone. When he said why, it inspired everyone who had similar beliefs, made them come together of their own accord, and inspired them to fight for this shared dream. This is the power of inspiration. Next, we'll look at the second aspect of why the golden circle is so effective. Humans naturally desire a sense of belonging, and by using the golden circle to influence people, you can evoke a sense of belonging in them. In the book, Sinek showed us the biological basis for why this works. Our brains are formed of many different layers. The outermost layer is called the neocortex and manages our ability to think rationally, make logical analyses, and use language. Beneath the neocortex is the limbic brain, which is responsible for all of our feelings, such as trust and loyalty, but isn't capable of language. When we make a decision based on gut feeling, for example when we follow our heart, this is the limbic brain carrying out its role. Sinek emphasizes that the limbic brain is extremely powerful because it can make faster and better decisions in all sorts of circumstances than those made through rational analysis. When we communicate from externally to internally, that is, when we start with saying what we influence is the listener's neocortex, the part of the brain devoted to rational thinking, and the listener will only be able to understand a few objective facts about the situation, such as the benefit or specialty of a certain product. However, this alone can't cause people to make a long-term change in their behavior. Conversely, when we communicate from internally to externally, in other words beginning with saying why, we directly converse with the limbic brain that controls a person's emotions, gut feeling, and behavior. At this moment, if our why coincides with others' why, then we can evoke resonance and a sense of belonging in them. For instance, when Apple started their promotion of personal computers by stating why, everyone who had a similar why themselves would naturally feel attracted to the product, find a sense of belonging, and make the decision to buy it. Okay, that concludes our summary of Part 1, Why the Golden Circle is so effective. In this section, we first discussed how the Golden Circle is a thinking pattern that starts with why. Then, we analyzed the reasons why the Golden Circle is so effective, the first reason being that inspiration works much better than manipulation, and using the Golden Circle enables you to influence people. The second reason was that by nature, humans crave a sense of belonging, and using the Golden Circle can evoke that sense of belonging in them. Today we are just sharing limited content. To unlock more key insights of world-class bestseller, please download our app. Just search for Bookey at Apple Store or Google Play. Get your free mind snack now.